Hello student, welcome to the new lesson that is there in the 12th standard. It is the 8th chapter, that is respiration and circulation. I'll just give you the overview of the chapter. This chapter has a two part, that is the respiratory system that we are going to study as well as circulatory system. For that you can refer the page number 153 of your textbook. So you can refer the PDF which is provided to you, or else you can download from the website. Now in case of the respiration, so entire chapter will be divided into two parts. So today we are going to start with the respiratory part or respiration. When we talk about respiration is very important process. All living organism, they perform the respiration. So respiration can be aerobic or anaerobic. So aerobic is with the help of what? Oxygen. Anaerobic is in absence of oxygen. So all living organisms, they require energy to carry out the various processes, and that energy come from the process called as respiration. In the respiration there are stored compound called as organic compound or complex organic compound. They are broken down. Okay, so it is broken down to release the energy, and that energy is mostly in the form of ATP. So first we will discuss about, that is a definition of respiration. So in case of the respiration is a catabolic process. Catabolic is breakdown. So it is a biochemical process where the oxidation of organic compound takes place. What do you mean by oxidation? So with the help of oxygen, that for example in the equation we can make out that glucose is there. Glucose is oxidized to release, that is 6 molecule of carbon dioxide, 6 molecule of water, and the energy, that is around 38 ATP molecule. So always remember, the ATP is produced in the form of the heat is that energy is produced in the form of ATP. So it is a biochemical process of oxidation of organic compound in an orderly manner. So already we have discussed about how that glucose is broken down into the pyruvate. The pyruvate converted into acetyl coenzyme. Acetyl coenzyme is going to enter into the Krebs cycle. So all the steps that we have studied in the previous standard. In the last year we have discussed this in a chapter, that is respiration in the plant. So these are the basic steps that will remain common for animal as well as in case of plant. So for this, the process, the gaseous exchange takes place between the organism and the environment. So the site for the gaseous exchange is called as a respiratory surface. So these respiratory surfaces are very important, so that there would be a exchange of gases, because ultimately oxygen is required for the oxidation process. So how that oxygen is going to enter, how that gas will be the exchange with the respiratory surface, all these things that we are going to discuss in this chapter. So in this chapter we are going to study about respiratory surfaces in plants as well as in case of animals. Then we are going to study about what are the different respiratory organ in different animals. After that we are going to discuss about human respiratory system. Then we are going to discuss about that is how exactly exchange of gases takes place, how exactly internal respiration takes place. After that we are going to discuss about respiratory disorder. We are going to discuss about artificial ventilation. Then we are going to discuss about what are the modified action of the respiration. All these things that we are going to discuss in this chapter. So first we are going to start with the first subtopic, that is organs of respiratory exchange. So basically that respiration is a physical process, and that respiratory surface shows a definite features or characteristic. Now what are these characteristics? The first characteristic, it should have the large surface area. So if the surface area is more, so the more and what you can say very efficient exchange of gases will occur. Then it should be thin, so that that gases can easily penetrate. Then it is highly vascular. Highly vascular, that means it is richly provided with blood vessels and permeable to allow exchange of gases and the last characteristic is moist. So you have to remember these are the three features of the respiratory surfaces. So what are these three features? First, large surface area. Second, thin, highly vascular, permeable. And the third is it should be moist. So you have to remember all these three features. Now in case of gaseous exchange in plant, it takes place by a process called as diffusion. Now what do you mean by diffusion? Diffusion is a process that is a physical process where that is substances are going to move from high concentration to low concentration. That means I can say the process occurs along the concentration gradient. So in case of this plant, the stem, root and leaf can be a part where gaseous exchange takes place. So there will be air spaces within a plant material. Now we all of you know that there is a stoma. Stoma is a opening. Singular is called as stoma and plural is called as stomata. So with the help of stomata there will be transpiration as well as exchange of gases will take place. So oxygen is going to diffuse into the air spaces through the stomata. Carbon dioxide and water vapors are diffused out through the stomata. In case of the aerated soil, so the soil where the oxygen get dissolved into the thin layer, okay, that is called as capillary. So that water is called as capillary water. So in case of aerated soil, the oxygen get dissolved in the film of moisture or the thin layer of water in the root around the root tissue, and then it is going to enter by a process called as diffusion. Now in case of the bark, if you observe that there will be small opening that already we have discussed in case of plant anatomy. These opening are called as lenticels. So these opening will help in exchange of gases. So this is gaseous exchange in case of plant. The next part is respiration in case of animal. The animals are going to show the variety of respiratory surfaces or organ. So already we have discussed this in kingdom Animalia. So right from the protozoa to the higher vertebrate, all the animals they have the definite surfaces for the respiration or a specialized organ for the respiration. So the respiratory surface differ in different animal. So depending on the arrangement or complexity or organization as well as their habitat where they live, the respiratory surface area differ. So certain part of the body they have become specialized in different types of respiratory organ. So there are certain organ they may show the simple plasma membrane in case of the amoeba, but as the complexity increases, there will be a modification in the respiratory surface. So first we will discuss about this table. In the table there are three columns you can make out. There is habitat, organism, habitat and respiratory surface. So in case of the protists are unicellular eukaryote and sponges and cylindrate. The exchange of water that is takes place or exchange of gases takes place with the help of plasma membrane because these organisms are aquatic. Now in case of the flatworms like planaria you know, then annelids like earthworm, Nereis leech and amphibians, again their habitat is aquatic or semi-aquatic. Again plasma membrane and general body surface. So in case of the earthworm, that is a body surface will help in respiration or it will act as a respiratory surface. Such type of respiration is called as cutaneous respiration. In case of the insect, they have the trachea. Already this we have discussed in case of the cockroach. You can recollect the cockroach has opening called as spiracle. So there are 10 pairs of opening on the body. Along with that there is a large trachea divided into small tracheole and ultimately it is going to reach to the tissue. So there is tracheal tubes and spiracle, which is a characteristic of insect that already we have discussed in case of the cockroach. That is a characteristic of insecta. Then there are certain arachnids like spiders and scorpions because they are included in a class called as arachnida. So in the diagram you can make out there is arachnida or there are arachnids. Now that is spider, they have a book lungs. Why it is called as book lungs? Because that respiratory surface, when you observe, it look like a pile of books, or it look like a stack of the books. Therefore it is called as book lungs, and it is going to help in the exchange of gases. Now there are certain organisms which are aquatic, like Limulus, that is arthropod. It has got book gills. So book gills are more or less arrangement like book lungs. So there are amphibian, tadpole of the frog, salamander, and newest. If you observe that, there is one photograph of the newest I have kept over here. They are again a terrestrial, and they have external gills. You can make out in the diagram that newest, which is showing the external gills. Now in the first diagram, that is external gills, you can see these external gills will help in exchange of gases. Now in certain cases you can see there is a lobster or prawn, they have the internal gills. Now in case of the fish, they have the internal gills. You can make out that is in case of bony fish, their gills are covered by the operculum, whereas in case of that is cartilaginous fish, their gills are not covered by the operculum, but they have the internal gills. In case of the reptile, birds and mammals, again they are terrestrial and they have the lungs. In case of the turtle, they have the lung, along with that aeration will take place with the help of cloaca. Now what is cloaca? Cloaca is a common common chamber where genital product, excretory product and undigested product will be thrown out. So cloaca is a common opening for respiratory, for genital product, then for undigestive product, as well as it is also referred as urinogenital tract. So different organism, they have the different respiratory surface or specialized organ. So for that you are going to make one table by using a chapter that is Kingdom Animalia, and you are going to write down the respiratory surface from each phylum. So there would be two columns. In the first column you are going to write down all the phylum, and in the second column you are going to write down the respiratory surface, or you are going to write down about specialized organ which is involved in case of respiration. Now we are going to discuss about human respiratory system. The human respiratory system has upper respiratory system as well as lower respiratory system. Now what is the function of respiratory system in case of the human being? That is involved in exchange of gases. It involved in inspiration, expiration, so that these gases are transported from the blood to the heart, and that oxygenated blood will be transported from the heart to the different parts of the body. So basically there are two classification. There is upper respiratory system and lower respiratory system. Now what is upper respiratory system includes? It includes external nares, nasal cavities, internal nares, nasopharynx, throat and associated structure, that is a part of upper respiratory system. So external nares are nothing but nostrils, and up to the throat, from the nasal cavity and the throat, it is going to include the upper respiratory surfaces. From the larynx, that is voice box onward, that part is considered as lower respiratory system, which include the larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles and lungs. So we are going to study each and every part in detail. So the very first part of the human respiratory system, that is a nose. The nose has opening, that is a slit-like opening called as external nare or nostril. So there are two nostrils for the entry of air into the nasal cavity. So the nostrils are going to enter into the nasal cavity. Now there are two nasal cavities, and they are separated by a cartilage called as mesothemoid cartilage. Okay, now that is a cartilage which is the hyaline cartilage, what we have discussed. Now these nasal cavities, inside there will be a nasal chamber. So nasal cavity is divided into a right and left nasal chamber. So I am repeating again. So in case of nose, the outermost opening is called as external nare or nostrils. It is going to open into a cavity called as nasal cavity, and these nasal cavities are separated by a cartilage called as mesenteroid cartilage. Now that each nasal cavity is divided into left and right chamber because of these mesenteroid cartilage. Now each chamber has three parts. The first part called as vestibule, you can make out in the diagram. Second part is called as respiratory part or conditioner, and third part is called as olfactory or sensory chamber. So the first part, that is the anterior most part, and it is that part is been provided with a minute hair. So what are the function of these hair? This will act as a filtration or filtration agent for the air. So the dust particles are trapped within the hair, and these hair are going to prevent the entry of dust particle as well as suspended particle which are coming via, that is or coming during inhalation. Inhalation is called as inspiration. Second part is called as respiratory part. It is called as conditioner. Now that is a second part, middle part, which is highly vascular. It is richly provided with blood vessels. Now it is going to warm and moist the air which has entered during the inspiration. And the third part is called as olfactory or sensory part. Now it is the uppermost part lined by olfactory epithelium. Now that olfactory epithelium is concerned with detection of smell, and olfactory epithelium, it is in the contact with olfactory nerves. So whatever that is smell that will be detected by that olfactory epithelium, that a message from the olfactory epithelium is carried out by olfactory nerve to the brain or to the olfactory lobe of the brain. So this is part called as nose. Second part is called as pharynx. Now the pharynx is a common passage for both, that is it is considered as dual organ. It is a common passage for air as well as for the food. Now that entire pharynx, if you see that, it is divided into three parts. The uppermost part that is toward the nasal cavity is called as nasopharynx. The part which is toward the oral cavity is called as oropharynx, and the part which is located toward the larynx is called as hypopharynx or laryngopharynx. So between the nasopharynx and oropharynx there is a bone called as palate bone. So there are two, that is palate bone, there is hard palate and soft palate. So the pharynx has a set of lymphoid organ, and these lymphoid organs are called as tonsils. Now what is lymphoid organ? These organ that is involved in production of WBC, and they are going to protect you from the airborne infection. So tonsils act as a gatekeeper of your mouth. The next part is called as larynx. The larynx is referred as voice box. Now in case of the male, that larynx is modified. Now it is called as Adam's apple. You have to read, that is remember the word called as Adam's apple. So larynx is modified in case of male, that is called as Adam's apple, and they have the deep voice, whereas female has the high pitch voice. Okay, so larynx contain vocal cords that is involved in production of sound. The larynx is that what you can say, it is going to extend from the pharynx to the hyoid bone of the trachea. It is a hollow tubular structure, and the wall is made up of cartilage plate. You can see there is thyroid cartilage in the diagram. Okay, you can see there is hyoid bone in the diagram. You can see there is laryngeal prominence, that is called as Adam's apple. Along with that, now what is the function of vocal cords? These vocal cords, these are internally these are elastic in nature, and the voice is produced by the passage of air between the vocal cords. Voice is produced by the passage of air which is located between, that is vocal cord, whereas modulation is created by tongue, teeth, lip and nasal cavity. Remember these two functions. Vocal cord, they are elastic in nature. The voice is produced by the passage of air between the vocal cord, and modulation is created by the tongue, teeth, lip and nasal cavity. Now that larynx is going to open into the laryngopharynx by a flap like structure, or it is there, that opening is called as glottis, and glottis is covered by a flap, that is cartilaginous flap, which is again elastic in nature, which is a leaf like structure, that is called as epiglottis. Now what is the function of epiglottis? It is going to prevent the entry of the food particle in the windpipe. The next part is called as trachea, or it is also called as windpipe. Again, it is a long tube which is measuring around 10 to 12 centimeter in length. It is going to run through your neck. So what is the location? It is located in front of the esophagus. Okay, it is located in front of the esophagus. That means esophagus is located behind the trachea, and it is going to extend into and up to the middle of thoracic cavity. Now if you observe that it is supported by a C-shaped cartilage ring. The number of cartilage ring is approximately 16 to 20. Okay, so it is internally lined by a specialized cell called as ciliated pseudo-stratified epithelium. Now what is ciliated? That means it is provided with the cilia. Pseudo is false, stratified is multilayer, so it is not actually multilayer, but it look like a multilayer, so therefore it is called as pseudo stratified epithelium. It is internally covered with the mucus gland, so that it is going to trap the unwanted particle, that is, and preventing their entry into the lungs. So the next part, that is trachea, also known as windpipe. So what is the length? The length is approximately 10 to 12 centimeter in length. Okay, it is located in front of esophagus. That means esophagus is located behind the trachea. It is supported by the C-shaped 16 to 20 cartilage ring. So it is going to prevent the collapsing of the trachea. That it is internally lined by a specialized epithelium, that is called as ciliated pseudo stratified epithelium. It is provided with the cilia, as well as mucus gland can be present. Now what is the function of cilia? It is going to prevent the entry of unwanted particle into the lungs. The next part is called as bronchi. Singular is called as bronchus. If you observe that the trachea is ultimately divided into left and the right bronchus. Singular is called as bronchus, that is together called as bronchi. Now if you see that it is going to divided into, or at the junction of fifth thoracic vertebra. You have to remember this, that trachea is going to divide into two branches called as bronchi at the junction of fifth thoracic vertebra. Okay, so there is right and left primary bronchi, which is reaches the middle of thoracic cavity at the junction of fifth thoracic vertebra. The bronchi are again supported by the incomplete ring of the cartilage. Now these primary bronchi, it is going to divided to form a secondary and tertiary bronchi, which lead to the formation, or which ultimately end into the terminal bronchiole. So what is the sequence? First there will be trachea divided into primary bronchi. Primary bronchi is divided into secondary bronchi. Secondary bronchi is going to divide into tertiary bronchi. Tertiary bronchi is going to enter into the terminal bronchi or bronchioles. That terminal bronchiole ending into the small grape-like structure called as alveoli. The next part is lungs. The lung, if you see, the lung is located in the thoracic cavity. It is very important organ that is concerned with the respiration. So the lungs get affected in case of COVID-19, what we have listening nowadays. So these are the main respiratory organs. So one pair of spongy and elastic lungs are present in the thoracic cavity. Each lung is enclosed in a double layered membrane, and that double layered membrane is called as pleura. So there is outer membrane called as parietal membrane, and inner membrane is called as visceral membrane. Now in between two membrane there is a fluid. That fluid is called as pleural fluid, and that is secreted by the membrane. If you see that right lungs has three lobes in it, whereas that is in case of left lung there are what, two lobes. Remember, the right lung is larger and divided into three lobes, whereas left lung is smaller and divided into two lobes. Each lobe of the lungs has a terminal bronchiole ending into the bunch of air sac. So these air sacs, okay, that sac contain 10 to 12 alveoli. Okay, so terminal bronchi ending into the grape-like structure or bunch of the grape-like structure, that is called as alveolar sac, and that sac contain a grape-like structure called as alveoli. How many? There would be 10 to 12 alveoli in each alveolar sac. The next part is called as alveoli. So these are thin-walled structure, that is, these alveoli are grape-like structure enclosed in a common sac called as alveolar sac. Now each alveolus is surrounded by a network of capillaries from the pulmonary artery and vein. So they are highly elastic wall made up of single layer of squamous epithelium. So alveoli has only one layered structure, that is called as squamous epithelium. I hope you can remember the squamous epithelium. That is, in case of the epithelium, these are also known as a pavement epithelium because they are having the flat cells which resemble like a flat tiles. So there is squamous epithelium which is resting on the basement membrane of the connective tissue, and there are about 700 millions alveoli in the lungs, and they provide the largest surface area for the exchange of gases. So alveoli are enclosed in a common sac called as alveolar sac. So alveolar sac contain around 10 to 12 alveoli. Each alveolus is lined by single layer of squamous epithelial cells. The squamous epithelium is resting on the basement membrane, which is a characteristic of epithelium, and it is in contact with, or it is surrounded by, a capillaries from pulmonary artery or pulmonary vein, and where the exchange of gases takes place. So there is only two membrane barrier, that is one layer of squamous epithelium in case of alveolus and one layer of capillaries in case of, that is, in the pulmonary vein or pulmonary artery. So that is all about, that is alveoli. And the very last part of the system is diaphragm. Diaphragm, it is a muscular septum that separate two cavities, that is thoracic cavity and abdominal cavity. So in our body there are three cavities actually. The first upper one is called as thoracic, then there is abdominal, and then there will be pelvic cavity. But the thoracic and abdominal cavity, it is separated by the dome shaped structure, muscular septum called as diaphragm, and that dome shaped structure can become flat when it contracts. So these are the parts of human respiratory system. So what will be the passage of air that is going to enter into the respiratory system? First, the air is going to enter from the external nair, then it is going to enter into the nasal cavity, then nasal chamber. The nasal chamber has vestibule, respiratory part, olfactory part. It is going to cross all these three parts. It is going to enter into the nasopharynx. From the nasopharynx, it is going to enter into the oropharynx. From the oropharynx, the next part, that is laryngopharynx. From the laryngopharynx, it is going to open into the opening called as glottis. From the glottis, it is going to open into the larynx. From the larynx, it is going to enter into windpipe, that is trachea. From the trachea, it is going to enter into the bronchus. Then it is going to enter into the primary, secondary and tertiary bronchus. finally into the terminal bronchiole. Terminal bronchiole is going to enter into the alveolar sac which contain alveoli, that is the passage of air within the respiratory system.